Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in to Geeked Colorado. This is Julia, your chief geek, and I am here with Jonah Scott, voice actor and VTuber, and just all around extraordinarily geek. So that's why we have him on our show today. So Jonah, I just want to have you just kind of talk a little bit about your path on how you became a voice actor,
Sure.
and then how that transitioned into doing all the other work that you do.
Yeah, so I've been an actor for over a decade. It started when I was like 8 years old. My parents put me into a kind of like an acting daycare, I guess. Every Friday they would throw us into, it was a class, but they would throw us into a class with a bunch of people who were under 18, wanting to learn how to act. And twice a year we would get together and we would put on a show. So I did that until the age of 18. So I did, upwards of 20, 25 shows. And that's not counting like what I would do in school and what I would do in extracurriculars and things that I auditioned for, but it was mostly stage acting. And after that I went to college. I went to Western Kentucky University and I studied musical theater as my major, and I minored in broadcast journalism. So like radio stuff and like writing articles and doing online journalism. But I had two options in like junior year, almost senior year. The option was either I go to New York City and try and do off-Broadway stuff and maybe even do Broadway stuff, or find another way to use my degree. So I was kind of scared because when I went to go to New York City, I visited for 2 weeks and I didn't really jive with the audition process because this is going to sound almost whiny to like veteran Broadway actors, but they could turn you away for the color of your shoes. They could turn you away for looking at them funny. They didn't need a reason. It's their job to say no sometimes. And not saying that that's like antagonistic towards anybody, but it wasn't conducive to a creative environment for me. And because of that, I severely limited my options. So when I came back, I was like, man, what am I gonna do? I was sitting on the couch and playing a video game, and a person in the room with me at the time was like, hey, you sound like the guy in the video game. And I'm like, that's bullshit. I don't sound like the guy in the video game. But I did a little bit of listening and research, and I slowly realized that it wasn't for the most of my life. I thought that it was just like the bottom of the barrel actors that they got to make this work. But nowadays we see people like Giancarlo Esposito in video games and AAA video games and major actors. So it was then that it like dawned on me that there wasn't the janitor that they didn't bring in. It was an actor that they auditioned, and there was a process, and it was like the creative, learned, talented person. So I tried to do that stuff online for a little bit, and at the time I was doing school full time and I was working part time at a deli, and I was making more money doing voice work online in my dorm room than I was getting up at 9 a.m., going to the deli and working until I had to go to class, coming back, doing homework, and then going for another shift and then coming back and going to bed. Making more money doing just stuff in my dorm room than I was doing that whole rigmarole, and I thought, okay, maybe there's something to this. So I did a little bit more research, and I made friends online through my voice acting ventures. And those friends were the ones that kind of put me up while I made the decision to move to Los Angeles. I had $200 in my pocket, a suitcase full of clothes, and a floor to sleep on. And I wasn't complaining at all, trust me. It was, I had reduced rent. I didn't have to pay that much because I was technically living there illegally. I was living there illegally in my my roommate's apartment. I'm not on a lease. But the landlord just kind of looked the other way. He saw me in the thing. He's like, I know you're not on a lease. Just don't make a big deal out of it. Don't kill anybody. Don't break the law, and you should be fine. So he was really cool for that. The person that floor I was staying on, Jalen Cassell. He's a writer, a director, an actor himself. Really good at what he does. And I credit him for learning how to dub. But after that, I moved out, got another roommate, somebody who's not in the industry. And then I slowly started to book roles, and it was like Walla at first, and then incidental characters, and then just putting in the footwork, the legwork, pounding the pavement, and making it to the studios, and getting in there for the filler work, and eventually I would get auditions for leads, and I would get auditions for other characters, and I eventually booked Legoshi, who was the first like major lead. I had several other like tertiary characters in other shows. But Legoshi was the first main character that I had booked, and it was scary, but the snowball just started rolling down the hill, and I'm still trying to catch it.
Well, you've definitely made yourself pretty successful. Now, someone who has gone to college to actually learn some training, was there any courses that stood out to you that you think actually helped you in your career, or that looking back you actually learned skills that are useful now?
Yeah, the only class I failed. Was my directing class. It was at the time because I thought like, oh, I'm a talented actor. I don't really need to know how to do directing. But there is a process, and the process carries over across disciplines. And the process involves being a team player, being a leader, having some creative ideas, knowing the mechanics and the structure of how things work. And I think even though I failed it, that class was probably the most educational. Aside from things that I didn't think would matter, just like things I took for fun, puppetry. I took a puppetry 101 and 102, and that had a lot of effect on VTuber stuff that I'm doing now. And I'm going back and looking at my old puppetry textbooks and like finding all kinds of cool little turn of the century puppetry techniques to employ into this, what I believe to be a modern, almost postmodern form of puppetry in VTubing. So there's a lot of like things that I found in college that accidentally kind of helped me, even though I didn't take advantage of them at the time.
Now, as a VTuber, that industry seems like it's still growing, still blowing up. What would you say is the best thing for people who are looking to get into the industry? Like, do you have any tips or any mistakes that you made early on when you were starting out?
Yeah. I would recommend doing it for fun. Don't try and become a celebrity through VTubing. It's not going to work. Even the VTubers who are massive right now are still, people have to realize this, because I know Gen Z and people who are very young are, that's just, you latch onto them as streamers, and that's the numbers that they're getting. But it's still a very niche thing. If you show somebody over the age of 30 a VTuber, you're going to have to sit there and explain. I voiced the main character in Dying Light 2, and I was doing a small stream with the lead game designer, on my Twitch stream, and I had to explain to him. He's a man in his late 40s. I had to explain to him in very plain terms what a VTuber was, because he's like, what is VTubing? I don't know what it is. You have an avatar, you have something. So I had to, and he's a game developer, so there was some lingo that I could kind of cross over and make work. Like rigging and a bunch of other things that he just understood. But yeah, it's still a very niche, burgeoning industry. But because of that, you're able to do some, what Silicon Valley likes to call disrupt. You're able to go in and be like, I'm going to do a VTuber, but it's going to be like this, and see if it works. My VTuber isn't very there's some light inspiration of Japanese anime and manga and things like that, but most of it is inspired by like classic rock and things that I really enjoyed as a kid, like comic books and like a lot of Western stuff. Even things in like Britain and Europe, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So I'll admit, I'm over 30, and this con was really the first con I've heard people talking about VTubing myself. So I've been like trying to learn as much as I can about it. What kind of growth do you think is going to be in that niche thing that you see? Like, do you think it may actually catch on and get bigger?
I do. It's my professional opinion that if you are a voice actor under the age of 30 and you don't have a VTuber, you will in 5 years. And if you don't, you're behind. I do believe that that's the next inevitable phase. There are some VTuber, or there are some voice actors that are, cemented in the industry, and they don't need to do that, right? They've been working for 30 some odd years, and they're comfortable in their 60s and doing their directorial stuff, and they have agencies, and they have producers and game developers coming to them constantly to help work on things. But when you're like me, who is somebody who's a streamer and not on the production side, you need to have another gig. You have something else. We as actors have to have a lot of fingers and a lot of pies, because in order to be a straight up actor and make a living, you have to be acting all the time, constantly. So VTubing is a way to supplement income rather than even just hopping on a bandwagon. You can create a character. You can create your own IP that isn't owned by anybody, isn't owned by Aniplex, isn't owned by EA Games, isn't owned by Riot. You have this character and it is yours. And you can exploit that IP, and not in a negative way. If people want plushies of your character, good, we can sit down and make that happen. And that's business sense, and that's another skill that you can learn and need to learn as a voice actor. And I didn't get to know in college, because I didn't take a business class. I didn't think I needed to take a business class. So learning business through VTubing is something that is definitely going to help an actor be more professional. I didn't realize that would be a slight benefit of it. But I do think that there are more and more. I know several that are working on it right now, but there are more and more voice actors that are beginning to pivot towards VTubing as well as a supplemental income, because it's just, you're an actor, you're a voice actor. Why not just make a character for you to voice all the time that's always animated? It just makes sense.
So you're talking about, how you wish you would have done a business course. Is there any other lessons you wish you would have learned?
Yeah, contractual law would have been a really nice thing to learn, because as a voice actor or as an actor in general, anybody working in the entertainment industry, you sign a lot of documents, and a lot of them are contracts, non-disclosure agreements, non-dissemination forms, non-competes, things like that. And it's nice to know what your rights are, because you can sign a piece of paper and not in a non-antagonistic way want to be out of a contract, and you just can't make that work. Or you sign a non-disclosure agreement, and does what I said at this venue break my non-disclosure agreement or something like that? Am I cool to say X about this character, right? There's a lot of different legalese gray zones that could be cleared up by one course of contractual law, because these are all really boilerplate contracts. They're not trying to do a runaround on you. It's just like getting the paperwork in and getting in and out. But learning a little bit about that would be nice, because you sign a lot of paperwork as an actor, way more than I had anticipated.
And as a voice actor, you've done everything from like Attack on Titan to JoJo's, but at the same time, you're still a geek at heart. So what kind of animes do you enjoy watching, or what is your favorite one?
Well, I love Attack on Titan, and I still do. I've been blessed to be in Attack on Titan in a deuteragonist, kind of capacity. I'm a 3-episode character that shows up and shows you how important he is, and then screws off. But I wanted to voice somebody in Trigun. That would have been super cool. And there's still more Trigun to be had. I'm sure that series is not ending anytime soon. I want to be in a World of Warcraft in some capacity. I played a lot of World of Warcraft as a kid, even in college. That would be amazing. A Riot property would be cool, either Valorant or League of Legends. I used to play semi-professional League of Legends, so a lot of my voice acting inspirations come from the characters that are in that show, or in that game. And Valorant, I play a lot of Valorant. It'd just be neat to be a Valorant agent. But yeah, there's a lot of properties that I'd like to get my hands on in some way. I've been lucky enough to be in Demon Slayer too, which is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and I came in just in time, because I don't think there would be another character for a long time for me to voice. But yeah, there's tons of them.
Well, I just want to thank you so very much for talking with us today, and thank you for coming to Colorado Anime Fest.
Of course, guys. Thank you so much.